And you are here. Doc's clinic is open, and this is Doc taking on the Mormish, and let's get it going. And welcome everybody to this edition of Doc's taking on the Mormish, and we are here, and we have the gift that just keeps on giving. So I told you guys about Mr. Brandon Killoran. We have his own playlist. We call it the Killoran Files. And again, I pray for the people of Zanesville, Ohio. I pray for the people that live in this county. So I did some digging because it bothered me that I saw him trying to blame somebody or attempt to say that the jail he was booked in, he had to stand in raw sewage, and then they had to clean up raw sewage without any bleach. Now, when I heard that at first, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, no. And here's why. If there is a sewage backup or anything of that nature, they're getting those inmates out of those cells, transporting, and guess what? They're going to send those inmates directly to the shower. Why? Because it's a biohazard. Nobody wants to stand in raw shit. Well, Mr. Killoran went on to tell people in a video I have here now, because I had to search. His videos are very elaborate, mind you. Okay, he's got a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of pent-up delusional aggression is what he has. So I found the video, and I decided, well, you know what? Let me ask a question. So I went out to the great sheriff of that county. I think it's Muskegon County in Zanesville is where Zanesville, Ohio is. I could be pronouncing it wrong. But anyways, so I asked the sheriff, I said, hey, listen, I'm doing some follow-up on something I saw in a video from Mr. Killoran, and I just need to know, is there any validity to this? So it took a little bit, but guess what happened? I turned around, got an email from the captain who's in charge of the jail. And let me go ahead. I want to share this with you guys so you can see this. Hang on. Let me get out of here. Where do I have that email? There it is. Okay. So we're going to bring this email up. I want you guys to take a look at this. And this is from that captain, and he was very gracious. And he went ahead and he responded to me. And he goes, Mr. Goss, Sheriff Lutz forwarded me your request for records regarding Mr. Brandon Killoran. Mr. Killoran was held as an inmate at the Muskegon. In Michigan, they have a Muskegon County. So Muskegon County Jail on two separate occasions. For what appears for felony charges. Let me read it from my screen here. Charges out of an incident that occurred within the city of Zanesville. I've attached both of Mr. Killoran's book-in sheets. One for 6/24/21 through 7/02/21, where he posted bond and was released, and one for 7/12/21 through 8/18/21, where he was released on reconnaissance per Muskegon County Court of Common Pleas. He then goes in there and says, I can assure you that no inmate has ever been forced to clean up raw sewage at the Muskegon County Jail. That is blatantly false statement. Respectfully, Captain David Sewage, Jail Administrator, Muskegon County Sheriff's Office. So he is the guy who's in charge of the jail. He's the jail administrator. He is probably in the chief's or the sheriff's branch out. It comes to this captain is responsible for the jail. So I plan on sharing this video with this amazing man right here. Chief Matthew Lutz is the sheriff of Muskegon County. Great guy. I'm gracious to both of them for providing this information. Now remember, Mr. Killoran, he is all about telling people to do your own research. Okay, you got to do your own research. You can't believe what you see on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. None of that. Do your own research. So that's what we did, and I could not be happier. The first thing, let me show you these booking sheets. Okay, mind you, I could not get enough of this. Let me add this back to the stream. Here we go. Right here. Here is Mr. Killoran's booking card from the Muskegon County Sheriff's Office. Now, this is public record. Anybody can go in. They can request this, and they'll give it to you. There's no pertinent information. Everything on here is public knowledge. Let's go right to it. There's that mugshot right here. And again, the reason he had an obstructing official business charge. Right there's the docket number, everything, and then he had a telecommunication harassment. Now, again, I don't understand. Again, I don't want to question the law director or the district attorney in this case, but I kind of want to do and say, hey, there's plenty of evidence of him harassing these agents that work for the county, that work at dispatch, that work for the city of Zanesville, these dispatchers. Why did you drop that charge? Why didn't you proceed on that charge? Was it because you just didn't want to deal with them anymore? Was it just because you knew you could have got them, but it just wasn't worth your time? So again, I think I'm probably going to go back and ask a couple questions on that just to get some clarification. Because again, we're closing the loop here on one of the many things that Mr. Killoran likes to bring up and talk about and pass falsely to senators, representatives, other attorneys. There's some great new videos out on his channel that we were kind of going over and taking a look at, and we're just like, wonder what that's going to do. But anyways, so we're closing this loop here. We want to close this little issue with him talking about having to stand in and clean raw sewage. So we have here, and there's two different ones, like he said, it shows the release date on own reconnaissance. And then here we go. We have the second one right here. And down, here is, again, same charges: obstructing official business and telecommunication harassment. And I've got a stack of documents this big from the law director of Zanesville City. And it's unreal how big that is. And it's in there. It is in there. And we're going to start going through that thing as well, because I don't know where I'm going to put it. But I'll just scan it in and get rid of it. So, but again, look at that beautiful mug. That's a face only a mother could love. I mean, honestly. Let's take a look at that. Here you go, right there. I mean, that is only a face a mother could love. And again, I don't know what exactly entails his full mental health. I do know because there was a lawsuit that he filed, and we'll go through this one too. This is actually a pretty good suit, where he attempted to sue Social Security because they wouldn't grant him full Social Security disability. And they talk about his issues, that his medical record, and it's in there. And I'm not, again, I don't use it to dox him, nothing. I use this because it shows just how stupid on so many levels his arguments are. And I'm hoping anybody that is wanting to go down this same route watches this and others' videos and be like, I don't know if I want to deal with this. Okay. It's a pain in the ass. It makes my head hurt. And I've got kids. So, but this is his booking sheet right here. Now we'll go ahead. We'll pull that out. I'm not worried about that anymore. Mr. Killoran has been a wealth of information, but as we see, there's no proof. Okay. None. And we actually have a captain of the sheriff's department, somebody of leadership, saying, nah, that never happened. That's a blatant lie. So we're going to go to our next little piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and move this right over to the screen because I want you guys to hear this. I want you to listen to what he's saying. Now, I'm letting you know right now that we're starting this at the 25-21 mark. It's not until about 30, but I want to use this to lead up. I want to hit on some of his other points, but you're going to hear this now. Now, I believe he's speaking with the law director, Mr. Tillman, and he is the law director of the city of Zanesville. Again, he's still complaining about the noise. And again, we'll talk about that again. He's still complaining about that. He's diving deeper now into his sovereign sit. How do I want to put it? He's diving deeper into the sovereign sit hole, to the Sov sit playbook. There is a comment in one of his newer videos where he calls himself a sovereign. That's pretty much, you're going down the line. He runs out of this playbook too. He runs out of the Sov Sit, the Moot playbook. So everything he's doing is down that route. So let's go ahead. We're going to start it right here. I'm going to let you guys listen to it. I'm going to see if I can just put it right with inside here because it is a video file. But what I want to do, as you can see, this thing is pretty long.
You guys haven't done a goddamn thing besides waste my time. And now your guys' inactions and inability to just cooperate has led to this situation. And now God knows what the hell I'm going to have to deal with. 6 months to a year in fucking prison.
So what's happening here, just to kind of give you some backstory, because I've listened to this before, he's talking about the lawsuit, the charges against him, these felony charges, and he's looking at how long he could possibly be in jail.
All because I called these asshole public servants and asked them to do their job according to the law.
Now, he's bringing up Ohio Revised Statute has a law that states that municipalities, depending on where a nuisance noise or a noise violation could come from, where they can work together with a partnership, or a certain municipality, such as a city, could design a noise ordinance to help combat the noise. Well, the city of Zanesville actually does have a noise ordinance. So they went and they did their part. It doesn't state that they have to formally do charges or anything. And we'll cover another video probably tomorrow where he will be talking to, I believe it's the city, not the city manager, but I believe a city engineer who talks about wanting to fix this, but Mr. Killoran wants nothing to do about it. So here we go.
And they want to play games.
Games. Yes, games. That's what they want to play.
So, I mean, at what point are you guys going to not be full of shit and make me feel like you're lying to me?
So that's his MO.
Not necessarily you personally, but I mean, in general.
That's his MO.
I know you can't speak for everybody, but I mean, I'm tired of getting strung along and lied to and misled. And
so let me tell you something about noise. Okay, you can't trespass noise. All right. You can't. However, let me finish that. You can trespass noise, but it has to cause damage. You have to have proof of physical damage. It's causing physical damage to you. It's causing physical damage to your property. And what they mean by that is it has to move dust. So if I have a pile of dust on a desk and I've got somebody next door to me that is just bumping their stereo and I can see dust pulse off a picture, then it becomes trespassing because now it's moving dust. Now, it's kind of up in the air type thing. It's all on how they want to perceive it, the type of noise. If you've got proof, because I can say, yeah, it moved dust. Okay, do you have proof of that it moved the dust? That's going to be the caveat. So that means I'm going to have to put a camera on it and catch it when this person's over here making all this racket. You can't, in the same regards of this, it's no different than a bird chirping or a dog barking across the pond. You know, if it's not causing damage, physical damage, there's no trespassing. So, and I've looked this up.
Giving empty promises and lip service. I'm tired of reading the law, the state law and the state constitution, which says specifically what I'm talking about. I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm talking about. I've read it myself. But the people that are charged with performing these duties and obligations.
The problem is he's read it. He just doesn't know how to properly interpret it. Yes, he has read it. I've read it. But if you don't have any sort of legal or criminal justice knowledge, hey, Mark, glad to see you join, brother. You're not going to understand what he's talking about. That's the caveat right there. You can read it all day long. I can read the Constitution all day long. But if I don't truly understand the interpretation, then I'm going to misunderstand it and something isn't going to work right, or it's not going to protect me down the line. So you get somebody or somebodies that has an expertise in constitutionality and understanding the Constitution. You know, that's what they went to school for. He is no way, shape, or form a lawyer.
Apparently are too stupid and incompetent to read the same laws that I'm reading and understand how to apply that to their job and to perform.
And again, see how he came out and he insults everybody? That's his MO. That's, you know, you're all stupid, you're all idiots, you're all inept, you're all dumb, you're incompetent. But then he says, well, I'm not insulting you. I'm just calling out your deficiency. No. When you call someone stupid, you're insulting them. That's an insult. That's a name. You're calling somebody a name. There's really no other way to put it. So you just sit there and say, well, I'm calling out your deficiency. No, you're calling somebody a derogatory name. Your intent is to hurt feelings, not to make the person better. Now, I could easily say to one of my kids, hey, that was a stupid move. Or, hey, dingbat, that's not the way you want to go about that. Come back here and I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. He offers no solutions. I think the only solution I've ever heard him offer was, yeah, they should relocate outside of town because they don't have any room to expand. Well, they're not going to do that. I don't think Brandon, Mr. Killoran, understands the cost that goes with a company just getting up and relocating. It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all.
Those duties and obligations. What's the point of the law in the first place if these assholes aren't going to follow it, right? Yeah. So maybe it's all void. Maybe it's all null and void. And maybe you all are just acting as tyrants and
there's that word.
Just abusing any supposed authority.
He has no idea what that word means or what a tyrant is, but he'll use it.
Maybe you guys have no authority and you're acting under the illusion.
This is all typical soft sales.
I don't have any direct knowledge of what that might look like.
Well, regardless, I mean, the evidence is there. All you have to do is look at the evidence and the proof.
Okay, what he's considering evidence, if you go to his page, are the worst examples of evidence ever. It's him walking outside his home, okay, and recording. The noise is so faint, it wouldn't disturb anybody. To be completely honest with you, I even went to the Facebook page for Zanesville and Muskingum County and asked these very questions. There's people that have been working for the stave company for 42 years. There's people that live right next to the stave company, right down the hill from it or wherever they're located. They are not complaining. Okay? He is the only one complaining. And there's a video that we're going to watch later on this evening. I'm actually just going to record it and post it up for you guys. Oh my God. Lieutenant Rice of this police department, my hands are off. It was, I mean, he literally puts Brandon back into his place and says, you're a fucking idiot. You know what? He makes the comment, you're the only one hearing this. You're the only one. And that's great. And you'll love that video. We'll get that one out to you here today as well.
The inaction. The inability to have any kind of effect to protect the people that you guys are charged to do, whether directly or indirectly.
Again, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I mean, you guys haven't done a single thing to help me as far as I'm concerned in this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, what have you and what has Troy?
So what he wants is he wants complete quiet. He wants it so quiet that from 3 miles away you can hear a pin drop. But the problem is he's been offered help. The city was going to pay almost $7,000 to get a full spectrum analyzer to analyze the sound waves, the digital waves, the decibel readings. But he didn't want that. He wanted them to go put it somewhere else instead of where he's complaining from. There's a problem with that. That means here we are ready to start investigating this issue for you to gather data. But you're telling me to go down the road and record it somewhere else. No. You're the one having the problem. You're the one making the complaint. So why now are you like, well, no, you're not gonna hook this up here. You can go over across the street and put it up. No, you're the one complaining. You're the only one complaining. And And that's the problem with this. So we're getting closer.
Alderson done whatsoever to help the situation that I've complained to you guys about for quite a while now. What, 2 years, 3 years now? I think.
So he's been complaining about these noises now since he bought his house. Now, he bought his house in 2018. I did some background check. I saw all the previous owners up until him and when he purchased the house. Great. Answer me this, though. Here's what really gets me. If you're going to buy a house, okay, one of the things I look at, my house right here, is I look at noise. I want to know how noisy is my neighborhood. And I'll tell you what, at 8 o'clock, this neighborhood is eerie quiet. It is. There's some cars that come in here. You know, there's kids out still playing basketball, but I don't mind that because when I shut my door, I don't hear it. I know I live near a major airport, and I understand that. But again, that's not that loud. It's really not, because I think I live in a direct line. I think I live like 5 miles from it. Don't really have a lot of issues. I know there's 2 major military bases that, yes, the last couple of weeks they were training. Some of the louder cannons and stuff, you could hear them very faintly. They weren't rattling windows or anything, but you could, if you stood outside, you could hear them. They were training. There's training areas all around here, and that's acceptable. And so I look at traffic. I look at, obviously with kids, school districts. I look at the safety and security. I look at crime reports. So if I know that if I'm looking at a house in a high noise area that may not be, and to me, it's important that, hey, around 5, 6 o'clock, things kind of die down a little bit. That's what I'm looking for. Then maybe this isn't the neighborhood. Maybe I want to go look at that other house that it was quiet all the time in that neighborhood. You have to be out of your mind if you're not looking at this stuff when you go to buy a house. And that was one of my questions to him. He would never answer. It's like, Brandon, how did you not notice this before you bought your house? Did you talk to some of the residents that live in the neighborhood? I know we did that before we moved into this house. I talked to the neighbors on both sides of me, the neighbor across the street. I was just trying to get a feel for who my neighbors were, but I was also trying to ask them, hey, what's the noise level like here? Do you get a lot of traffic down this road? You know, do you have a lot of flight over from the airport? And you know what? We're not even in their runway cross patterns. So again, I know where I live. I have a major port, and I know the highways out there. But again, I don't really hear the noise from the highway because there's plenty of trees to help absorb that. So again, here we are. Somebody didn't do their homework. You know, I would have looked at Zanesville. What is Zanesville, Ohio known for? Oh, let's see. Here's the Stage Company. Here's Casting Solutions. Here is this. Here is that. And been looking at like, man, I know a mill and a foundry can make some noise. Well, maybe let me check the other side of town away from them so I'm not right there. So this was my question to him. Never got an answer. Never got an answer from him.
I don't know how long I've been complaining to you guys about it. Trying to get help.
2018.
Yeah, I mean,
What about the
the inquiries that were started, that's really all that we have the ability to do in a lot of these situations, especially when it goes to the court. I mean, that really restricts what we're able to do.
Well, let's talk about before. I mean, you use that example, but that was just recent. And there's been a few instances in the past, but they're few and far in between, and they're isolated incidents. But let's talk about all the time in between when it's not the court, when you can't use that as an excuse. What was the excuse then?
I mean, we did start inquiries with the VA and the PUCO and I think a few other places. I mean, I think initially.
So they reached out to the VA because Mr. Killoran does have some hearing issues from his military service, which I think we all pretty much do. He also has some mental health issues from his military service. And so when all this started with him, the police started doing their investigation. The law director started doing their investigation into this because they wanted to check. Okay, they wanted to make sure that who they were dealing with was competent and sound. Okay, and that's why they do that. So you're gonna hear here. We're sitting at the 25:54 mark in this video.
When you first called, you thought the noise was coming from a train station or something along those lines. and you were trying to get diagnosed, at least something through the VA, and we reached out to a few doctors out there, and then a lot of the other places like the PUCO just were unresponsive to us.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I finally figured that out. I mean, I kind of, I guess, realized that at some point, but it's nice that you finally tell me that. Yeah, and just to clarify, no, it had nothing to do with the train station or anything like that. Early on, I was confused because there was so much noise coming from so many different directions. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
There actually wasn't. If you go to his channel and you watch the videos, the earlier videos, you're going to notice him recording noises at like 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning when people are getting up, companies are revving up for the day. He drives out to several of them, and literally in one video, he stands across, videoing it with his phone, and calls the police and says, "Yeah, this is the noise. I'm standing across the street from the stave company," or I think it was the foundry, maybe Casting Solutions. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you're standing across the street from a company that's revving up for the day. How does that work? Again, he should have moved out in the country is what he should have did.
It was just loud and confusing. And
yeah, it was when you were trying to narrow down exactly what was going on. This was early.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so being the victim of the situation, I hate to use that term because I don't like calling myself a victim, but being victimized or being the victim in that situation, I'm trying to investigate it at the same time, and I'm doing my best while being the victim, while being exposed to this torture day in and day out, especially at night, that prevents me from being able to sleep, and I'm already sleep deprived as it is, and dealing with all of this on top of trying to investigate and figure out what the hell.
Now, he's sleep deprived because he's an insomniac. I honestly believe that. Anybody that would get up at 2 a.m. to call the police, you're an insomniac. And what he would do is when he calls, he would go outside. Okay? You can't hear the noise in his house at all. The latest video that I did a post on him, the last one I did, he literally opened the window, set his tablet outside so you could just barely hear this noise. Then he brings the tablet back in, shuts the window, and you never hear the noise again. This is somebody who is just born to complain, okay? And the only way it's ever going to get fixed is if these companies move, which they're not. One's been there for over 120 years. The other one's been there for over 80 years. They're not going anywhere. They're staples in that community, in that city. They're going nowhere. Those two places probably hire the majority of everybody that lives in that city, okay? They're not going anywhere. So the other solution is he moves. Now, unless he moves out to the country where there's nothing but maybe the occasional car that goes down the road, there's your silence. But then he would probably complain about the bugs and the noise they make. Again, this is somebody who I think has major hearing loss, and a hearing aid would probably help him. And a white noise machine would do wonders for him in his bedroom. If he's sleeping in his bedroom and he's saying he can hear this with the windows closed, then get a white noise machine, $25 at Amazon. Hell, I'll buy it and ship it to you myself. That's what doesn't make any sense with this guy.
Was making the noise. And so I'm doing my best to track it down, and I'm bringing up suggestions, hoping that somebody that's not being affected, is not being affected by this torture, maybe they can look at it from a different perspective and help determine whether it is or isn't. Because I get to a point to where I start to gather information and it starts to point in a certain direction. So it gives me a lead. So I go towards that lead, and at some point I'm so overwhelmed, I make a comment to a public servant that, hey, it may be this that's making the noise. Can we figure it out? Or unless you guys know if it's something else. And in the hopes that they're willing to cooperate.
But the thing is the police officer, he loves using the term public servant. That's another Sovset playbook term. Well, you work for me. You work for the public. Well, no, they don't work for you. Their job is not to protect your property at all. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say protect your property. That's not what they're there to do. Secondly, if there is nothing they can do, and if you're the only one complaining, you're the only one hearing this, then you should probably go get your hearing checked. I know as a veteran that I know I have tendonitis. It was in my eval when I got out of the military. I know when every now and then I hear a different sound, or I can feel pressure build in my ear canal, or I hear the ringing or the buzzing. I know where it is. I know it's not my house. I know it's not outside. I know the difference. I can hear my refrigerator running. I can hear my fan running. I can hear my AC running. I can hear the cooling fan in my laptop run when it fires up. But those are things that are everyday that if you learn how to block them out, they're gone. Who knows? Maybe he's hearing his AC unit or his heat unit and he thinks, oh, that's noise in my house. But again, he refused the help that was there when it was given to him.
Operate, but instead of getting cooperation, I get, nope, that's not it. We did some half-assed test, and the half-assed test said it wasn't it. So have a nice day.
Now, the city of Zanesville never was able to do the test to collect the data. Why? Mr. Killoran here denied it. The engineer was at the house to set up the device. It can't be hooked to the power poles because the city doesn't own the power poles. It can't be left outside because it's a delicate piece of equipment. It's analyzing electrical spectrums. It's analyzing sound frequencies and sound waves and decibel readings. He complained about it, so what they wanted to do was put it inside his house where he's saying he's hearing this, because what this device does is a full spectrum analyzer. What it does is it starts analyzing all the noise and all the frequencies and the decibels. And they usually run it for anywhere from a week to 30 days because they want to collect a lot of data. They want to collect data during different times. They want to see if there's the same wavelength, the same decibel readings, everything. He never allowed them to do their job. So what happened? There was no test ever ran, ever. At all.
Nothing further, no further investigations, because the noise is still going on. I wouldn't be complaining if there wasn't noise.
He's inside his house right now with the door closed, windows closed. Does anybody hear that? Because there's been moments of silence where you could have heard it if it was audible inside his house. I never heard it.
But I couldn't get any cooperation. And then as the time progressed, it took me about 2 years, I realized that this humming noise that started up in July of 2018, that initially that started all of this shit. And as that progressively got worse, I started to notice that the local area businesses' operations were going through the whole night, and their production noise was getting louder and louder.
That's not true. Every video he records from his location, that noise does not get any louder. It literally stays the same. And I wish I lived closer. I wish I still lived in Michigan because I would do everything in my power. I would order a full spectrum analyzer. They're $600. I would order a decibel meter. I would drive down there. I would take a weekend and I would drive to the easement of his property and stand there and just point in the direction of the sound and say, oh, this is the decibel reading. Okay, log it down, and then come back at 8 o'clock at night. Same location, do it again. Be like, huh, that's the decibel reading. Go to their parking lot, take the decibel reading. Go to the easement of the driveway to the road, because that's public, right where the line is. Take the decibel reading. I wish I lived closer, because that would end this in a heartbeat. But I digress. Here we go.
Progressively every night. Now it's at a level that's just ridiculous. I can't get anywhere in my house without hearing it.
Not true. He's in his house right now. He's dollars to donuts. He's in his house right now, and you don't hear it. You don't. That tells me it's inside here. It's in the ear. It's not out in the ether. It's right here. He's probably losing another tone, another frequency. He's losing it. But he doesn't take that. I've even recommended to him and say, dude, go get your hearing checked. You might need a hearing aid, which would probably clear that up. But no, he's going to blame it on everybody else because that's how he rolls.
But I guess it just doesn't matter. I think I guess I'm just wasting my time, wasting my breath, asking people to help that don't really give a shit. Say that they do, but I mean, actions speak louder than words. I mean, you said it yourself. In the roughly 2.5 years, however long it's been since I initially contacted you all and started talking to you, Tim, all you've done is a few inquiries. And most of those inquiries, you didn't even get responses back. Nobody even respected you guys enough to respond.
No, it's not for a lack of respect. It's due to the fact that the question was probably asked, do you hear a humming noise? Or is the sound that comes from Stave Company and Casting Solutions a bother? Can you hear it in your house? Those were the same questions I asked on that city and county's Facebook page. And you know what? The best answer that came out of that was, it's the sound of people working. Get over it. I was like, that is the best answer ever given. People that live right next to the Stave Company, no complaints. People that have worked there for 42 years. People that are generational families that have lived in Zanesville for generations, 2, 3, 4 generations. Not an issue. But this guy comes into town, and now all of a sudden it's a super noise. It's so loud he can't get any sleep. That's what he says.
On to you. So what does that tell you? Maybe that's why you didn't let me know, because maybe you guys were ashamed of the outcome, maybe embarrassed a little bit, so you didn't want me to know. I don't know.
No, they're not embarrassed. They don't have to let you know.
I'm trying to figure out why all you public servants are failing the people.
Now here he
miserably.
goes. He's going to start blaming them for everything.
And then making excuses for it and conveniently jumping to conclude, well, the court, we don't get anything about the courts. Ignoring all the other time that you guys have wasted just to be able to use the court as an excuse now. I mean, do you see where I'm coming from?
They didn't use the court as an excuse.
I'm not trying to use it as an excuse. It's just now at this point, there's really, I don't even know what kind of help we could offer at this point.
Exactly.
Well, at any point, really. I've been strung along, and
he gives no solution.
Not just by you guys,
but
everybody involved in all this, especially the local city government and the police department, because they're ignoring the law, they're ignoring their obligations and duties, and you guys are allowing that to happen. You guys are ignoring that because you guys don't have anything to do with that, or whatever excuse you want to use. I would think there's committees that on a federal level.
Here we go. Now we're going to get into the sewage
regarding this types of thing, especially with everything going on nowadays with police departments and them being out of control and all the violence and everything else, and then all the controversy too with all these idiots trying to defund the police departments. And at this point, I never believed in that before, but now I'm starting to realize, maybe that's the best thing for the communities is defund the police department. Because if this is how they act, I would rather not have a police department. Let the sheriffs take care of everything. If the sheriffs are going to abide by the Constitution and uphold the Constitution and act properly. But at this point, I can't even trust the sheriffs here in Muskingum County. I can't trust them to do the right thing either. Because they've proven to me, especially in this shithole jail, this disgusting cesspool, it's criminal and inhumane to house people in this damn jail. Not to mention the fact that for a couple of days while I was in jail, I had to sit in raw sewage because of the dilapidated pipes. And then the corrections officers and the staff blame the inmates.
Wrong.
And then take all the commissary from the inmates. They make it even more stressful for us.
Wrong.
On top of having to sit in shit and piss.
Wrong.
For a couple of days. And, especially with all the stuff going on with all of these illnesses and whatever's going on with all that.
Let me ask everybody this. You get out of jail. Wouldn't be the first thing you wanted to do to shine light on that is to fucking file a complaint and to notify the local news media? Get your rep down here. Get your senator down here. Get the mayor to show up and explain this. Get the sheriff out there. But yet, I did a search because I was curious. I was like, man, that would be a major news story. Nowhere. Was there ever a news story that I could find? And I'm pretty good at doing research. I'm pretty good at digging deep to find stuff on things. Nowhere after probably a 2-hour search did I find anything about the Zanesville, about the Muskingum County Jail having a sewer backup, inmates standing in sewage, having to clean sewage, none of it. And it put the icing on the cake because I've already shown everybody the email from the captain and the booking report sheets of Mr. Killoran. So it's amazing how can't find any news story whatsoever. And here's the other thing. If you're saying a couple days, you stood in raw sewage for a couple days. Really? Huh. There would have been a news story on that if you would have ended up in the hospital, because a couple days in raw sewage, you would have ended up being so sick because of the smell. The smell alone would have made you sick. You would have been in the ER. No story of it. Nothing. Nothing. So again, he's trying to get attention. He's trying to get his, people riled up thinking this is going to jump somebody to his ship when his ship is sinking. Let me tell you something. Rats, mice, dogs, and cats, and animals in general know when a ship is sinking, and they know it's time to get your ass off the boat and swim away. Nobody wants to attach themselves to anything this guy says. And now the best thing is we got the proof. We got a direct email from the captain, the jail administrator, with his exact quote. What more do we need to prove that now what's coming out of his mouth is a fallacy? It's a delusion. It's called delusion of grandeur, okay? He suffers from it. He really does. He really thinks, and it's his narcissism, he really thinks he's above everybody. He knows everything. Whatever he says, that's what they do. But he's failed. He failed in court. He failed at every one of these attempts. He somehow got lucky out of the telecommunication harassment, which, again, I'm going to go back to that attorney. Like I said, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm curious. I want to know why those charges got dropped, because they had more than enough evidence. All his videos, he incriminated himself, is enough. So,
you would think that they would be a little bit more concerned with providing a safe and clean environment for people. But no, it's almost like they're trying to get people sick, forcing 2 and 3 people per cell, having us sit and shit and piss, having us clean up, mop, and clean up shit and piss without protective equipment, no gloves, no nothing. We're just standing there in our
all alive
sandals,
all alive,
a dirty mop and no gloves,
all
mopping
alive.
up shit and piss, and we have to beg for bleach, anything to actually disinfect.
It's all alive.
The area.
I want proof. Where's your complaint about it?
So
why'd you wait so long to say something?
It seems like to me that you aren't really interested in protecting the people and helping the people. It's all about destroying the country and forcing people into ridiculous situations like this. Not necessarily you guys directly, but like I said, just in general.
That's what
like
it's
the
about,
government,
Brandon.
whether it's local here or whatever. But there's no reason that people should be housed in this jail.
Well, then don't break the
disgusting,
law.
To say the least.
Don't break the law. You don't end up in jail.
It's cruel and inhumane. But no one cares, especially not anybody from here in Muskingum County.
But see, Brandon doesn't offer solutions. He offers complaints. He doesn't know how to come to.
So, I mean, at this point, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a shame and a disgrace that in all my efforts, nobody wanted to really help. Because if they did, they would have made a difference in some way, shape, or form.
Well, you've done nothing. So
somebody
here's the thing.
Made a phone call. Somebody could have had a conversation. Here's
the thing. They've called. They tried to help him. He turned it down. All he does is call and complain. He doesn't offer any solutions. They asked him, I think it's in this video or maybe another one or earlier on, if he And at this point, we're pretty much done. This has nothing more to give. So they asked him, hey, have you tried reaching out to these two companies? Well, he said he has. He said he didn't get an email back from Casting Solutions. Well, that's not true. I've actually emailed them. And because of the way the stuff is set up, you got to go to a manager and talk to them, and then they got to roll it up the chain of command. However, Stave Company, I found all of their executives and their business emails, attached them, and I actually sent them an email, and I got responses back from them. I was asking them, hey, have you had any recent noise complaints? Maybe hold a town hall meeting to find out if there's any complaints or any suggestions to make Stave Company better in Zanesville. Guess what? They did their own noise assessment. Now, they didn't go into it with me. I didn't ask them for it. Now, I could go back and say, hey, you guys stated you did your own noise assessment. Is it possible I could get a copy of that, or do I need to FOIA it? Freedom of Information Act. All I want to know is what their noise assessment came out with. That's it. I've done my research out in that community. Granted, I didn't come from Georgia up to Ohio. I just went to the Facebook page and asked. Got the answers I knew I was going to get. So, again, with this constant bickering and this constant, he's got a lot of pent-up delusional anger. And what I mean by that is he blames everybody else for his problems. In my mind, it's all right here. It's in the ear, and it's up here in the mental faculties that they are just not firing the way they should fire. And it's sad. They say mental health wise, and to give you guys, while I was in the Navy, yes, I was a psychiatric technician. I was 8485. That's my NEC designator. So if you want to Google it, you could see exactly what I did in the Navy. I was also an 8404, which is a field medical service technician, which is layman terms, it's a battlefield medic. Well, anyways, one of the things we learned that those that are severely wounded, if they don't know how to cope with pain, whether it's phantom pain or constant pain, or they don't have the proper pain management or a good quality of life, it affects their mental health. It affects other aspects of the body. And I think this is what's going on. I mean, I honestly believe that he's bullshitting his mental health team, his psychiatrists and psychologists. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination. I don't hold a PhD in psychology or psychiatry. I do hold a psych text knowledge, an expanded knowledge of both those. But just in reading, listening, knowing the signs and symptoms of different mental health issues, he's dealing with a lower standard of quality of life due to his ailments. And the only way to get him out of this funk, I believe, is probably some good cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And, for that, you need to go in, you need to spend a 30-day stint in a mental health institute to get the proper care. And, it probably comes down to maybe his if he's taking meds, I don't know, maybe his meds aren't right. Maybe they need to readjust. Maybe they need to do a blood draw. But for somebody who has these type of anger issues, and we'll play a video where he just loses it, it is just remarkable how he just lets it go. And he doesn't care who he hurts. He doesn't care who he insults. Again, he bogarts the conversation. I mean, you heard right here, we listened to about 15 minutes of that, 10, 15 minutes of that video, and the other guy didn't get a word in edgewise. It was all him. And that's the downside. He doesn't want anybody to help, because if they help and they take away the issue, or they find out and say, look, Brandon, the decibels at this reading are 23, if that. Acceptable range is 65. And here you are, you're saying outside you're hearing this noise, but inside you're not. We were inside. We took a decibel reading. It was 3, And again, I'm just making those numbers up. But as you can see, he doesn't want help. he wants a reason to constantly complain. And that's just what it is. And that's all I have for him. You know, it's one of those things where he is just going to be the gift that keeps on giving, and we appreciate it. We really do. I love finding his new stuff, and I was gone for about a week. I was out of state on vacation, and I come back, and there's like 5 new videos from him, and I cannot wait to dig into the Killoran Files, as we call this. Again, I want to thank everybody for showing up to my channel, to Doc's Clinic. It's always a pleasure to have everybody here. I want to thank Mark Baguette for showing up. It's always nice having him in the chat. Make sure you check out his channel. I'll go out to YouTube and edit the description and put his link out into his video. He's doing really great stuff. He's on, I believe he's on YouTube, and he's on Discord. So if you get a chance to join his Discord server, great Discord. Everybody on there is real good. We're all about sharing and promoting everybody's page. We want everybody to have a successful YouTube page. And again, Mark's great people. So again, hey, this is the Doc. I want to thank you for showing up to the clinic, and I can't thank you enough. Make sure if you want to help contribute, hit my Cash App. It's $.Goss, and I appreciate anything you can give. Again, we do this for free, but if we want to get new equipment, we gotta raise a little bit of money, get a better camera, that kind of stuff. But again, I want to thank everybody for showing up, watching. Enjoy. Please make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell so that way you get the notifications on all our latest videos and you can be part of the live chat. And again, this is the Doc saying have a great one. Thanks a lot, everybody. Clinic is closed. Doc is out. See ya.